to make money and to support myself, but my true love will always be acting. And so any opportunity I can do that's choice A.
My first piece of advice might be that if he said he wants to, I would eliminate the word big from his desire. Only because if his goal is to be famous first and not work the job or the craft, as they say, then I think that's where he might get tripped up, because he should just work on being the best version of what he wants to be first, and then if it happens that he makes it big, then that's just a byproduct of the hard work. That's the cherry on top, but it shouldn't be that
You shouldn't be getting in this to be a star.
Right.
Because it's highly unlikely.
Yeah, don't get into the industry because of, the awards and the money and the red carpets and the anime conventions.
Damn it.
It's about the work.
Wendy, you broke that.
Yeah. Nowadays, with reality television and all of this stuff, and everybody is famous for 15 minutes, I think it's really easy to see that and imagine that that's very appealing. So I think that's something that interests a lot of people, but that's people that are just being famous. That doesn't have anything to do with acting.
And okay, we'll move on to another question.
But I went to, I took multiple acting classes in Dallas with the guy who's going to be the next Bachelor. And exactly, thank you. Hey. That ain't acting, all right.
Yeah, thank you. If you've got that kind of radio voice, if you're good at doing that sort of the North American three-tone slot sort of work, how do you get good vocal variety into your repertoire?
I honestly never, I guess I did work on it eventually, but that was never something that occurred to me, was to try to achieve a vocal variety.
Well, I think it's...
I guess I just already did that. I don't know.
Yeah, I've worked with vocal coaches, but I've also taken a series of acting classes. I don't really know, because I've never actually worked radio, so I don't really know what kind of career path and choice and classes they have to take and how they vary.
That sounds like a Kyle question.
Yes, we'll have to
Kyle.
bother Kyle about that tomorrow when he gets here.
Yeah.
What did you do? How did you get here? What did you do
The
different?
North American three-toed sloth.
Tell us about the three-toed sloth.
I think that you can stretch yourself and work on different, because I've kind of discovered over the years different vocal ranges that I had that I wasn't really aware of, but most of the time it starts from, because it's voice acting, that starts from just a place of being an actor, and then suiting the voice and the character to whatever that role is.
Yeah, because I was going to say, like, when you do a stage role and, you play like an old guy, they can gray you up and everything, but if you have that kind of voice, where you can kind of make yourself sound like you're older, then that will help with your performance. So it's a tool as a stage actor that we would just normally be calling
Right,
upon.
helps indeed.
And, if you're going to be, but yeah, so it depends. I find that using voice, even when I do stage production, is a vital, integral part of the process. Whereas when you're doing voice acting, that's all you have. You can't be like, well, I wore, I grayed up my hair and put some, latex on my face, and I look really old when I voice acted that role. That doesn't really matter. But yeah, so it's just one of those things from playing a variety of different characters on stage that it was like, well, let me try this with the voice work as well, because, and then it's just a question of, even with working with vocal coaches for stage work, because you have to have good vocal projection. Because again, like Tiffany said, you're performing to the person in the back row. You have to be louder because you have to be. Whereas you don't have to be that loud. That's why when stage actors for the first time will go in and work on an anime, they'll like really, really loud, and you're projecting, and like, okay, you can pull it back. Just talk conversational. But yeah, it's just another one of those tools that you would acquire from working on various acting projects. And that's another thing I really want to say quick, is that a lot of people say, well, should I just take acting classes? I don't really want to work on, community theater or that or whatever. All of that is such good life experience. Because you can sit, I've taken classes in Manhattan where you sit and you watch you're in a class with like 30 kids, and 2 kids go up, and you get maybe like 10 kids this week, and then 10 kids next week, and 10 kids. So it's every 3 weeks you get to go up and perform, and you get critiqued, and oh, that's great, and I'm taking an acting class in the city, but you know what? Being on stage, it's you and the cast, you're working together every single day to put this thing together, and then you put up the show. And there's never a process where, unless you're like at the end of the play and you just come out and go, I did it, or something like that at the end of the show. If you're in the show and you're part of the cast, you're going to be working every single day you're there. So I find that they're invaluable life experience. College theater, high school theater, community theater.
Absolutely.
Get out there.
I love that you said that, because I always tell people when it's like, how should I start? And I'm saying, you should do it. You should just do it. Because, classes are very important, and you learn a lot of techniques and terminology and things like that that will definitely help you. But just going and doing community theater, doing student films, doing all of these projects that are free, you work, and there's nothing else that's as good as just doing it and learning from the process of interacting with other actors. There's nothing that's better than that.
And that's actually going back to the gentleman's question about fame and becoming big. If you are like going and doing like a high school show or a community show or a student film, and you're not walking away with money and you're going, man, I really got to keep working at this because one of these days I'm going to be making millions of dollars. Well then, there's your wrong motivation, because what you're gaining is experience. But on top of that, if you're going into this going, well, I'm going to do this because I'm going to be famous one day. No, you should be doing this because I want to do this. I want to be up there. I want to create. If that's your impetus for going, then you're on the right path. And I don't want to leave this guy with the camera out because I saw him raise his hand before.
Well, actually, I was wondering how you guys get into your characters when you're voice acting, because when you're on stage, you naturally can, emote you can emote yourself using your body, using different languages, like with your face and all that. Whereas in voices, naturally you have to limit yourself to only your voice. Mm-hmm. So aside from like say how you did the little thing for the breathing, like how do you guys manage to get into your roles?
Wow. I don't know if you could hear that, but he's talking about getting into character for an anime role. I think a lot of it is exactly what you were saying, Bill. A lot of it does draw upon just the experiences that you've had, because so much of it is instantaneous. You watch the scene, maybe it's the first time you've worked on this particular show. The director, like Chris said, is so important. The director is giving you a lot of background. You look at it, and then you just have to make a choice and do it.
We all have pretty strong improv backgrounds too, like the ability to just see something and make a choice and stick with it.
Right. It's all very instantaneous in a way, but it is.
Believe me, if your choice is wrong, the director will let you know.
Yes, absolutely. And in most cases, it's something that you've auditioned for. So if you've auditioned for it, you already know that you were kind of going in the right direction with it.
And actually, all I can add to that is that when you do work on stage, you're right, you have all these different things to pull from, and it's a very organic feeling. But you have to bring that. You have to bring it, because even if it's just a drawing, you have to bring it to life. And if you don't believe it, and you don't feel it as an actor, and you don't put the same performance you would to a stage performance, you're just reading lines off of the page. And it's as stagnant as the image. And everybody says animation is this brilliant medium because you bring pictures and images to life. Think about how many Disney films you saw as a kid where you cried because, Bambi's mother died. I'm sorry, spoiler alert. But all of these things that have come about because you've watched, an animated film and you felt. But, a good portion of that is the animation, and another portion of that is the acting that goes into it, because if it's not believable, well then, what's the point?
The other thing is we are using other things besides just the voice. We were recording just the other day, and Chris was directing me on something, and the character would lift an eyebrow or squish up her face, or, do different things with her body. And I was doing the same thing in the booth. He was watching me, I was recording
It was funny. But necessary.
Yeah.
Well, don't say it was funny.
Also funny. Also
Yeah, I know, I'm sorry. But you're sitting there, I'm making the same facial movements as the particular character so that that sound would come out.
Absolutely. It's just the only thing you hear is our voices, but we are using our bodies very much. And I was really thinking about what you were talking about, like if you had to play an old man, for example. And there's something about just not that, but any character that you do, they have a certain posture and a certain way